array. Then we'll be discussing about the different data types. So we'll be actually beginning with the data structures. Today we'll have an introduction to data structure. So first let me cover this program. So the program is to, just a minute, I have not opened, yeah, this is the C compiler. Yeah, first, let's see what the problem definition is. The problem definition says, can you all see my screen?
No, ma'am, screen is not visible.
Okay, I'll share my screen now. Yeah, so we have to see how to insert an element in the middle of the array and how to remove an element from the middle of the array. So for that, what we have to do is we should first of all understand the concept of inserting and removing an element from the array. So I'll just do control M. Yeah. Okay, now let us say that we have an array. Yeah, we have an array of elements. So this is how we have the array. So whenever we have an array, the elements are stored in the contiguous memory locations. That is just one after the other. There will not be any space. Now here you store the zeroth element of the array. Here you store the first element of the array, that is zeroth element of the array, first element, second element, third element, and so on. So this is how we store the elements of the array. Now, if I want to store the elements, say 10, I store here, then 15 is stored here, then 20 here, then let me say 30. So these are the elements I have stored. Now I want to insert an element in the middle. Say I want to insert an element between 15 and 20. I want to insert 18. So if I have to store 18 here, then I have to make space for the number 18. So if I directly write 18 immediately after 15, then I lose the value 20. So what we have to do is, we have to first move 30 here, then move 20 here, then make this place empty, available, then we can store 18 here. So now here we will have 18. So this is how we have to insert an element in the middle of the array. Similarly, if we have to remove an element from the array, so right now what we have is 10, 20, 18, and okay, now we have 10, we have 50, yeah, bear with the writing, try to understand what I'm trying to write because I'm writing it with the mouse. 18, then here you have 20, then here you have 30. So this is how we have the elements. Now let us say I have to remove the element 15. So if I have to remove the element 15, it's not that I can leave this blank. So what actually we have to do is, we have to move 18 to the position 15. Then we have to move 20 here. So this will be 20. Now this becomes 30. Then this element, this position will be empty. So now you have moved. We wanted to remove 15. So it is 10, 18, 20, and 30. So this is what we'll be trying to do in our program. Hope the concept is clear. We cannot leave a blank position in the middle. So for that, I have a program here. I have already executed this program. I'll explain it to you. This is the program to insert an element in the middle of the array and to remove an element from the middle of the array. So here you have enter the number of elements, of course, then enter the elements. All this you know. So you cannot have this. To declare A of n. I've done so many changes after executing, so this is not the final version what I'd executed. The number of elements 3, 20. I'll show you. I'll show you how the program works. So the number of elements is 3 and enter the elements. I've entered 10, 20 and 30. Now enter the number to insert. I want to insert the number 50. Then at what position I want to insert? I want to insert at the position 2. Now we can see that 0th position you had 10, it is as it is. In the 1 position 20, in 2 position we have 50, then 30 is moved to the next position. So this is what we are trying to do. And then I want to remove some element from some position. I'll try to remove it from the position 1. Now we can see that 0th position we had 10, so that is as it is. At position 120 we had, so 20 is removed and 50 and 30 are moved to the earlier position. So this is what we are trying to do in our program. Now we'll understand the logic of this. So how we have done this. So here we have entered the number of elements n. So enter the elements. So here you have a for loop to enter the elements. So we had initially entered this. Yeah, we had entered the number of elements to be 3 and the elements we entered is 10, 20 and 30. Then enter the number to insert is 50. Then enter the position to insert is 2. Now, how do I make place for 50 at the position 2? What we have to do now is we have to move the elements from the n minus 1 position till the position. So we have to start processing the array from the last element. I'll show you. So if you have the, take a pen. So we had the elements here. So we had 10, 20 and 30. So this is how our array is. So I had entered 10, 20 and 30. Now to make position for the element 50, I have to first start moving the elements from the last position we have. So I wanted to insert it at the position 2. So we had 30. So we have 10 here. Then 30 we had. So we have to move 30 here. Then move 20 here. Then you have the position free here wherein we can insert the new element. Remember, we have to start moving from the last element in the array. You cannot directly move 20 to 30. So just because I want to make place here, if you move 20 to this position, then 30 will be overwritten. So we cannot do that. So we have to first move 30 here, then 20 here, make a place, then insert the new number 50 or 40, whatever I had entered. I think I had entered 50. So now this is how the array will be. So let's see how this is working. So to end show. Yeah, you can see that from the n minus 1 position till the position I want, I'm moving the elements to the next position. That is, the element at the ith position is moved to the I plus 1 position. So we had entered 3 elements. So first 30 will be moved to the next position. So that is what I am doing here. I is equal n is 3, I is equal to n minus 2, n minus 1, meaning I is 2. So first the element at the position 2, I'm moving it to the position 3. Then I is decremented. Then the element at the position 1 is moved to the position 2. Then I is decremented, it will be equal to position, then the control comes out of the loop. So at that position, whatever we had entered here, the new number will be written. Then you have the new array 0 to I is less than or equal to n, because we have inserted one element, size of the array will be equal to n. You cannot write less than n or less than or equal to n minus 1. So now if you just write here my I is less than n, then you will be displaying the elements from the position 0, 1, 2. But you have inserted one more element, so the number of elements in the array is increased to 4. So you have to write I is equal to 0, I is less than or equal to n, then I plus plus. So then I will take the value 0, it will take the value 1, 2 and 3, because n was 3. So for all these values, you will be displaying the elements of array. So that is what has happened here. So after inserting the new arrays 10, 20, 50 and 30. So based on the position, whatever I am inserting, the element will be inserted at that position. Now enter the position to remove. From which position we want to remove. So it's the same thing. So now if so now I have the elements 10, 20, 50 and 30. So this is what is currently my array. 10, 20. So I had inserted 50 here in the program. Then we have 30. Now I want to remove the element at the position 1. So this is the zeroth position, position 1, position 2 and position 3. Now if I want to remove the element from the position 1, then I have to first move 50 here. So 10 I need not bother. I have moved 50 here. That is, write the element at position 2 to the position 1. So now it will become 50. Then move 30 here. So you have moved the n plus 1 element here. Now in the array you have 10, 50 and 30. Hope it's making sense to you all. So that is what I'm doing in the program here. So enter the position to remove the element. So I will enter the position as 1. Then I is equal to 1, 2 I is less than n. I'm going to perform this operation. So first I will be equal to 1. Then at that position, at the position 1, I'm moving the element at the position 2. Then I gets incremented to 2. Then at the position 2, I'm moving the element at the position 3 and so on. So this is how it executes. Then after removing the element, the new array will be this. Now we'll execute the program once again, so it should make sense to you. Now the number of elements I enter is 3. Now the elements is 10, 20 and 30. I want to insert at the position, insert the number to insert. Yeah, I want to enter the number to insert, it is 50. The position where I want to insert is 2. That is, I want the output to be 10, 20, 50 and 30. So you're getting 10, 20, 50 and 30. Now I want to enter the position to remove the element. Let me remove it from the position 1. So at the position 1 we have 20. So that will be removed and the new array will be 10, 50 and 30. So this is how the program executes. Hope this is clear. Did you all understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can you repeat inserting that
Yes, ma'am.
and
Yeah, I think I showed you the diagram. Yeah, anyway,
yeah,
one more thing. I'm uploading the videos of this class. So yesterday also I've uploaded the video. I have a YouTube channel, Sridevi R Nagarmunul. You can subscribe to the channel. So whatever videos I upload or whatever I upload on the channel, you'll get a message and you can just see that. Okay, my YouTube channel is it is I'm writing it in the chat box. Sridevi R. Nagarmunul. Just open this YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that. Okay, all these class videos I'll be uploading there. You can use it from any time for any explanation. You can see the video any number of times you want. Yeah, this is my YouTube channel, Sridevi R. Nagarmunul. And now, yeah, for inserting the element, if you remember that, were you there for the full class or you missed or you had taken a break? Who
No,
asked
no,
to
I
that?
was there.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, whenever you want me to explain the program?
Yeah, just the inserting part, ma'am. Like you took I is n minus one, then
Yeah.
a of I plus one on the last. Uh, I mean the last. You insert one more array to that. No? I didn't
Yeah,
understand
here
that
what
properly.
you can see, you all are seeing the program, right? Tell
Yes,
me the
ma'am.
line number where you have the doubt.
18.
Line number 18 here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is to insert. Yeah, the last element. So currently n is 3 initially. I had entered 3, right? So first I is equal to n minus 1, meaning what? I is equal to 2. That is,
Mm.
I am trying to access the last element in the array.
Okay.
The last element, I am moving to the next position. That is, a of 3 will be equal to a of 2. Here you do not write I plus plus because you should not change the value of I. You should only increment the value of I and use it. You should know
Okay.
the difference between I plus plus and I. I'll just show you this. Do you all know the difference between I plus plus and I plus 1?
Mm. Yes.
So these are two different statements. So in this,
Mm.
what happens? I plus plus, the value of I gets incremented. So the value of I changes here. Here, when you write
Mm.
I plus 1, the value of I does not change. Only it is incremented and you are using it.
Mm.
Here, I'm just incrementing the value of I and I'm using it. I'm not writing I plus plus. Now here, if I write I plus plus, then my program does not behave correctly. The value of I itself gets changed. I don't want to change the value of I. Here, I want to change the value of I. So we have written I minus minus and I plus plus. Here, we do not write that.
Okay.
So you should know when to write I plus plus and when to write I plus 1 or I minus minus and I minus 1. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if this is fine, then we'll move to the data structures introduction. Where do I have that? Yeah. So what is data structures, first of all? So data structure, it's the way of organizing the data in the memory, retrieving the data from the memory, and processing the data in the memory. That is, it's storing, retrieving, and processing the data in the memory. We have a lot of data, and that data has to be stored in the memory. And just storing is not sufficient. We want to retrieve, meaning we want to take the data whenever we want, and we want to process it the way we want it. So performing all these is called data structures. Now, before that, just know what data structures is. So before that, we need to know what is the meaning of data types. What is actually a data type? So you all have been using the word int, float, character, double, long. So all these are the data types. You all have been using this. But what actually the data types mean? The data types mean the objects whatever we can represent and the operations what we can perform on those data. is together called data types. It's a basic definition. It will be asked in your placement. It may be asked in your Viva. But many students will not be able to answer what is data type or what is data structures. They study the whole data structure. They implement all the programs. They're very good in data structures, but what is data structures? They'll not be able to define. So that shouldn't happen to you all. That's why I'm saying what data structures mean and what data types mean. So the data type is the objects, whatever we can represent, and the operations we can perform on those objects is called data types. So for example, you have int. You've been using int as a data type. Now, when we say int, so you all have been using this int in your program as a data type. So you all have written int x, a very common statement, right? So you say that int is a data type. What do we mean by this? This means that you can represent the numerals with this. What are those numerals? There are negative numbers, 0, and some positive numbers. So you have some minimum minus minimum number to 0, then some maximum number we can represent with this int. So all these are the objects we can represent. Then what operations can be performed on them? We can perform arithmetic operations. We can perform logical operations. We can perform relational operations. We can perform assignment operations on these int. So the numbers, whatever we can represent, and the operations we can perform on that together make it a data type. Now, similarly for float. For float, you have the decimal point, then you have a part before the decimal point and the after the decimal point. Then what are the operations defined on them? So they all together make it float. Then for character, so character is a data type which can store one character. You cannot perform addition subtraction operations on that. You cannot perform the logical operations on that. Of course, we can perform, but there the ASCII values are considered, so that's a different issue. But you cannot perform some of the operations on that. So the options are defined on that. So that is how you understand what the data types mean. So basically, there are two different data types. The basic category, one is the primitive data type, the other one is the non-primitive data types. I'll show you what these primitive and non-primitive data types mean. Yeah, here you have a diagram. I'm not able to enlarge it. Hope you can see this. Yeah, it is enlarged. Yeah. So in data structures, basically we'll be learning about the primitive data structures and the non-primitive data structures or data types, you can say. So the primitive data structures are integer, real, character, and boolean. You also have double, long, that. So these are the primitive data structures. Then these are the non-primitive data structures. Under this non-primitive data structures, we again have two categories, linear data structures and non-linear data structures. So linear data structures are array, linked list, stacks, and queues. Non-linear data structures are trees and graphs. We will be learning each one of these in our data structures. So we will be doing an in-depth study of all this. Now, to understand this, let us first see what primitive data structures mean. So these types are the most basic types available within the language. That is Boolean, character, int, float. You also have double, then long. So these are all the basic data types or the data structures that are available in C. So these types serve as the building blocks of the data manipulation in a language. The spelling is wrong here. It should be language. These types serve as the building blocks of the data manipulation. And such types serve only one purpose, that is containing a pure, simple value of any kind. So once you say int x, you can store a number there. Once you say double x, you can store some number there. Once you say boolean, it can be either true or False. Once you say character, it can be any of the 128 ASCII characters, right? They contain the pure data. And these data types are defined into the system by default. So this is what you should remember. So these are all defined. So these data types are all defined into the system by default. They come with the number of operations predefined. That is, when you say int, say x and y are two integer type of variables. If when you write x plus y, the system knows how you should add two integers. X plus y is defined. The system can add that because the program for adding two integers has been built in the C compiler. When you say x is equal to y, the assignment operation has been defined in the C compiler. That's why the compiler can do it. Remember, computer is a dummy machine without you programming it. You should make it work the way you want it. Right? So the compiler, in the compiler, the operations are defined. And one more very important part is that we cannot define, where's the mouse? Yeah, we cannot define a new operation for such primitive types. We cannot define any operations on them. It's all available, just use it. So they are primitive data types. Using these primitive data types, we can define the non-primitive data types, other data structures. Now, for example, you have been using structure. So for student, we defined the structure. So we defined that the student has a name, the roll number, then the marks, then I wrote physics, chemistry marks, then I wrote it as an array. So we defined what should be the contents or what should be the fields of that structure. Then we said that the structure is a user defined data type. So the student structure is not a standard structure. It's not a structure defined by the system. But using these primitive data types, we have defined the structure. So what was the type? Roll number was an int, name was a character, three subject marks was float, average was a float. So using these primitive data types, whatever we have here, we defined a user defined data type. Okay, structure is a user defined data type. Then what operations we want to perform on them? We have to define it. So we defined the operation to read student information. We defined the operation to display the student information. We defined the operation to find the average of the student marks. So they are the operations. So we defined the user type and we defined the operations. So that is a non-primitive data structure. Whereas for primitive, int, float, character, how to add, how to compare, all has been defined by the system. So remember, primitive data types are defined by the system and the operations on them are also defined. We, the users, cannot define any operations on these primitive data types. Whereas for the user defined data types, we have to define the data type and we have to define what type of objects we want and what operations we want to perform on them. So let's see some of the non-primitive data structures. The first one is an array, so which you all know, which you all are very, very familiar with. Yeah. So we have the array. So you have defined it. Okay, the highlighter is very dark. You may not be able to see that. So I'll just make it light so that you can see. But I'm not able to see the mouse only. Yeah. So here you have the array, which is a non-primitive data type. You all have been using array. So array is a data structure that can store a fixed size of sequential collection, of elements of the same type. The array is used to store a collection of data. So that this you all know what's an array. So it's a sequential collection of elements, meaning the elements are just stored one after the other in some particular order. So you have learnt a lot of array and you have done a lot of operations with array insertion, deletion. Just now also we did one operation. So we define the operations on arrays. For example, if you want to add the elements of two arrays, you cannot write a plus b, right? So you have to write two loops wherein you have to write one loop wherein you can write c of I is equal to a of I plus b of I. That means you're defining how the array elements are to be added. The system does not know. So similarly, we have other data structures. So stack is a data structure which we'll be learning first. So this is a linear data structure which follows a particular order in which the operations are to be performed. We call it a linear data structure because there is a particular order for the elements of this data structure. Then, what is that order? So we perform the order LIFO, that is last in, first out. That is the last element we insert is the first element we are going to remove out from the stack. So this is one of the data structure which will be starting with. This is the data structure which will be starting with. So will be performing many operations on this. So the two basic operations we perform are push and pop. Push is an operation to insert an element into the stack. Pop is an operation to remove an element from the stack. So learn how to do that. Then we'll be learning queue, which is another data structure. So this is also a linear structure which follows a particular order in which the operations are to be performed. So the order here is first in, first out. So in the previous case, it was last in, first out. That is, the last element inserted is the first element to be removed. Whereas in queue, we have FIFO, first in, first out. So this is just the example of people standing in the queue. The first person who stands in the front of the queue is the first person to get service. So when you're going in a queue, the first person who's in will be the first person to be out. So the new people who are entering into the queue will be entering at the rear end or the back end. So we'll be learning the several operations on this and we'll also see what are the applications of queue. Then the third operation, the third data structure we learn is the linked list. So here the elements are not stored in the contiguous location. In case of stack and queue, they are linear data structures. They are stored in contiguous locations. Whereas in case of linked list, the elements are not stored in contiguous locations. So every element has a pointer to the next element. So the pointer starts here. So once the pointer starts here, your whole data structure is pointers. Okay, it's a fun to play with pointers. I'll show you the diagrams, how the pointers move, all that. So we'll be learning in detail about the linked list and several operations we perform on this linked list. Then each node in a list is made up of two items, the data and a reference to the next node. Reference is nothing but a pointer. So every node in the linked list will have two parts. One part is the data part, the other part is a pointer to the next node. And there are different types of linked list, single linked list, double linked list, circular linked list. So we'll be learning all of them in detail. Then we have a non-primitive data structures, trees. So till now, whatever we saw, that is array, stack, queue, and linked list, there are linear data structures. They are non-primitive, but they are linear data structures. Trees is a non-linear data structure. That is, a tree can be empty with no nodes, or a tree is a structure consisting of one node called the root node, then zero or more nodes called the subtrees. So we'll be starting with the recursion also with the trees. So whenever we are performing operations with the trees, we'll be performing recursive operations. I think you all know the word recursion. A function calling itself is called recursion. So the trees definition itself is a recursive definition. Then we'll learn graph. So this is again a non-linear data structure and it consists of vertices and edges. So the nodes are called the vertices. So this is where we have the data, and two vertices are connected by the edges. So we'll be learning about all this in detail. So this is just an introduction to the different terms or the different topics we are going to use in the data structures. Hope all this made sense to you. Yeah, hope you could understand what I was trying to explain.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can chat if you want. So why are you all typing your USN? You need not type your USN in the chat box. Anyway, I think I should get the attendance. I'm not sure whether this is installed here or not. Yeah, anyway, today you all type your USN for attendance. From tomorrow, I'll see that you don't need to enter your USN for the attendance sake. Okay? Yeah, rest whoever have not typed the USN, type your USN for attendance. Yeah, this is from me today. If you have any doubts, you can ask. But be sure that you all study very hard. And one more thing, what happens is if it's a live class, in the class, I give you some programs, I give you some problems, I come to you, I check your book. So I'll be among you all if it's a live class. But now it's not a live